ladies and gentlemen. Yes, sir. So, anyway, I hadn't really posted like anything too in depth because I have redacted 19. Now, some of you may be wondering, how do you still have redacted 19? Well, this was because my brothers had the let's just call it, because YouTube has very strict rules when it comes to talking about that certain strand of viruses. So my let's just call it let's just call it redacted 19. Redacted 19 gets the point across. So anyway, my brother tested positive for redacted 19. And well, I thought, okay, as long as I'm careful or whatever, I'll be good, you know? And I try to be careful the best I can. And we got tested again just to make sure. And it seemed like I ain't have that redacted 19. So I'm like, I bet perfect. But then that same day that I got tested, which was on a Friday, I started feeling a little dizzy, right? I started feeling a little lightheaded. Then it turned to straight up dizziness. And I'm like, whoa, what is going on right now, man? I'm feeling dizzy in this, but you feel me? But then, on top of my dizziness, I started coughing like crazy. You know, I'm like, oh no. And then I had a massive fever, and I could tell, even though I never had my temperature taken, so I can't say I officially had a fever, but in my instinct, I could tell I had a fever because I was like shaking. I was like shaking a lot. My body temperature, I felt, was like burning like a lot, and man, was it like straight up excruciating. Like, okay, maybe I'm being a little dramatic by saying it's excruciating, right? But it did not feel comfortable at all. And mind you, I had to work the next day. And I'm like, dang, hopefully I get better by, excuse me, coughed a little bit, but, I'm still feeling a little bit of the effects, right? But I'm getting better though. But anyway, back to the row thing. I felt like, oh man, maybe as long as I could like get this little ailment out, I'll be good to go tomorrow. As it turns out, I kind of felt like, well, I'll be good to go because my throat my throat was still hurting a little bit. I still had like a sore throat. You feel me? From like the coughing and all that stuff. But I felt like, well, I could move fine, you know? But as we got, tested right yesterday, turns out the lady that was testing us didn't know what she was doing. She really didn't know. And my brother, who was the first to get this redacted 19 thing, got a positive test and a negative test in the same time, and I'm like, how is that even possible? Only way that could happen is incompetence, and surely enough, it was incompetence by the lady. So there you go. Then, because of that, we had to get tested the next day on Saturday, day that I'm supposed to work. You feel me? And my mom was like, maybe you should get tested because you had like a fever, you was coughing a lot. I'm like, and I thought like, nah, I don't want to. But I'm like, well, Friday was a little odd. You know what? I'm gonna get tested just to make absolutely sure it wasn't, what I thought it was. You feel me? So we got tested at a different spot. And the little lady that tested us over there, she did a good job. You feel me? Shout out to her. Right? She actually knew what she was doing. And we both got tested. And my brother, you feel me, he still had the redacted 19. But as for me, as it turns out, I had it all along. I had that redacted 19. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, man. Oh my goodness. I thought I ain't had it, but turns out I did. Maybe I should have realized this since, I was coughing all the time, but well, it is what it is. But at least I don't gotta work Saturday nor Sunday. So for the first time in a while, I had both of the weekends off from work, which meant that I was able to catch up on whatever sports there was on as best as I could because, again, I was obviously still not feeling well at all. And so maybe I couldn't really concentrate. Who knows? What it is, what it is. You see, I just coughed, bro. I still don't feel that good. I'll be way better, but man, the effects are still lingering. So anyway, World Series Game 1, which happened on Friday. And I was, watching this on my laptop, you feel me? And it's between the Phillies and the Astros in Houston, Texas, right? Shout out Houston, you feel me? But unfortunately, we will get to Houston in a bit for some horrible that happened in the parking lot bowling alley. But we will get to that later. Right now, we need to get to World Series, okay? The World Series. Phillies versus Astros. The Phillies. Maybe some could say that they're only in the World Series because of Major League Baseball expanding their playoffs. And yeah, that could be true, but again, doesn't matter what the playoff system is, you still have to win important games to reach the World Series. And the Phillies did that. The Phillies did some that the Dodgers didn't do. Okay, and the Dodgers had over 110 wins. Like, what happened, man, to the Dodgers? But the Phillies made it to the World Series. The Astros, 100 plus win season, they made it to the World Series because they're the Astros. They made it to the World Series. So, the Astros didn't even lose a single game. They swept all of their opponents. But their sweeping streak ended because even though the Astros were up by 5, the Phillies came back, forced the game into extra innings. Then at the top of the 10th, JT Realmuto hit a home run to give the Phillies 6-5 lead. Phillies pitching did their thing at the bottom of the 10th to win game 1. The last time a team lost after being up by 5 runs in a World Series game was the 2002 San Francisco Giants. This was 20 years ago, and they were led by Dusty Baker. 20 years later, Dusty Baker manages the Astros, gets a 5-run lead in a World Series game, loses to the Phillies by choking that 5-run lead. But I also see comments of people talking about Dusty Baker sucks. He's bad for baseball. And I'm not big of a baseball nut really because I respect the sport of baseball, but I don't keep up with it that much for whatever reason. But I have a lot of respect for the sport, you feel me? And Dusty Baker, he has been managing for a while. And I do think that maybe it's his year to win a World Series as a manager. He has won a World Series as a player, but as a manager, he hasn't won a World Series. And just maybe this might be the year. I could kind of say, excuse me, I could kind of sense that it could be his year. And I will support him. Just maybe to get the trolls going. Since it is the Houston Astros, their cheating scandal is still fresh in our minds. And people still feel like the Astros hadn't served their time. They hadn't really been punished. So people are always going to forever hate the Astros. Not much else I could say about that. Anyway, NFL, we play for keeps. There was a London game. Third and final London game. The Broncos against the Jaguars. The Broncos with Chef Russell Wilson making great turnovers, and he got right to work as he fed Tyson Campbell a great turnover, a great empanada, you feel me? Or a great arepa, right? Russell Wilson, I guess, went to Colombia because ain't no way he's going to Venezuela, especially with all that contract money. And I mean, yeah, Colombia is also a place you do not want to flaunt your wealth at, but he would rather go to Colombia. Chef Russ went to Colombia, you feel me, to learn from the arepa masters how to make the best arepas in the world, and went to London, where there is a growing Colombiano community in London, right, where he learned more about arepas, and then showed the Jacksonville Jaguars, because I have no idea if there is a Colombian community in Jacksonville. There might be, I don't know, right? I don't know too much about Jacksonville. But if there is, maybe you might want to have a word with Russell Wilson. He just gave, you know what I'm saying, Tyson Campbell a great arepa. I love arepas, man. They're good. But anyway, Trevor Lawrence, he didn't want to feel left out. He also wanted to learn how to make arepas. And it seems like Trevor Lawrence could actually run his own arepa shot. He gave out 2 arepas to the Broncos. Boom. 2 interceptions. You feel me? That is absolutely inspiring, bro. Shout out to Chef Russell Wilson and Chef Trevor Lawrence, man. But the sad part is, of course, the Broncos won. And I say that's sad because the Broncos have just been absolutely a train wreck. Russell Wilson just straight up hit a lick on the Broncos. And now the Russell Wilson stands, if there's any left, they're probably going to be mad annoying. Because they're like, ooh, he won. Ha 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 ha. I'm like, dang. They're probably going to get maybe 5 or 6 more nationally televised games now. Thanks, NFL. You're giving them more nationally televised games. Unbelievable. And Jaguars hold its L. You got to be kidding me. But another team will hold the L for losing, and that's the Chicago Bears. And as a Bears fan, I shouldn't even be surprised no more that the Bears lost. And there were a few things that still surprised me. Like, for instance, the Bears somehow having a good run of form beginning of the second, like end of the first half and beginning of the second half, where the Bears started scoring a lot of points. And even got it down to like, they were only down 23-28 to the Cowboys at some point in the third quarter. I'm like, huh. The Bears are actually going to make the Cowboys choke. That will actually be fun because now the world gets to laugh at the Cowboys instead. And best part is, the Bears get to do the honors. Yes, sir. Only problem, the Bears then became the Bears. Ezekiel Elliott was, of course, out, as the Cowboys want him to recover since the NFC East, for some reason, is actually a legit division this time. With the Giants doing their thing, and well, the Giants lost, but, you know, the Giants have a great record. Eagles still 7-0, and the Cowboys, they got Dak Prescott back, and they still winning games. Oh, man. And the Commanders beat the Colts. Oh, man. NFC East, what is happening? How did they turn to a good division? Unbelievable. And the running back in this case that was putting in that work was Tony Pollard. And I'm sure there were other Cowboys who were putting in work in the running game. Shout out to y'all. But Tony Pollard, over a 100-yard game. That's nice. So, of course, as I was watching that game on Fox, Oh, I thought it was the police. I was about to say, but now it's just a dog. But anyway, Fox, after the Bears Cowboys game ended, they switched to the Falcons Panthers game. And they switched to, the end of that game. DJ Moore made an absolutely amazing diving catch. Excellent catch. To seemingly win the game for the Panthers because the Panthers were down 28 to 34. Right? And the Panthers didn't have too good field position to begin their, desperation drive to win this game, right? But DJ Moore, great catch. And you could also say that the Falcons had some bad coverage because the Falcons, for some reason, got behind DJ Moore, right? And it's like, why did you do that? Because usually, if you're in the final seconds of the game, right, in a one possession game, and the offensive team is down by one possession, you feel me? Of course, they're gonna, especially if they're down by more than a field goal, they're gonna throw deep bombs out of desperation. That's just how it is, right? And if they got the arm, they got the arm, and you have to always get a bunch of guys out out back. You feel me? Kind of like you, an outfielder in baseball. Just put them all the way back, and from then on, you'll intercept the ball or at least knock it down because in a lot of these situations, especially late game, defensive backs are taught to just knock the ball down straight to the ground. But instead, the Falcons decided to go behind DJ Moore, and that just allowed DJ Moore the opportunity to make a great diving catch, which he did. Unfortunately, DJ Moore then proceeded to take his helmet off, and I get it. Maybe it is a little bit of a dumb rule because football is a game of emotions, and especially since he just made a great diving catch on the final seconds of the game, you feel me, to potentially win. How is that even gonna be punished? Like, this shouldn't be punished, but the rules is the rules. And, getting a 15-yard penalty for taking your helmet off at celebration, that has been a consistently enforced rule. And it got enforced in this case. So the Panthers then had to go 15 yards back on extra point attempt by Eddie Pinedo, who used to play for the Bears, by the way. You feel me? I remember that. And Eddie Pinedo proceeded to miss the extra point. So it was tied at 34 apiece. Had he made that extra point, it would have been damn, another cough. Had Eddie Pinedo made that extra point, it would have been 35-34 Panthers with less than 10 seconds left in the game. Unfortunately, he missed it. Game went to overtime. Eddie Pinedo did have a chance to win the game in overtime with a pretty easy field goal. It wasn't anything too far out. And if anything, it may have been slightly closer than his extra point. And Pinedo missed it. I'm like, come on, man. No, no. And as a result, more coughing. Anyway, as a result, the Falcons proceeded to kick a field goal by Younghoe Koo. Yes, sir. Goated name, Younghoe. Shout out to Younghoe Koo, man. Straight up goated. Kicked the game-winning field goal. So that the Falcons win 37-34 and avoid a traditional Atlanta choking. DJ Moore, I bet you somebody Like everybody wanted to smack DJ Moore and Eddie Pinedo, on the back of the head. You feel me? Smack them right upside the head for all those L's. You feel me? But man, this was a very exciting game though. I ain't gonna lie, it was a very exciting game. You feel me? Shout out to the Falcons though for not choking. You feel me? Now, 49ers versus Rams. All I got to say about that game is 49ers own the Rams, bro. It's not even a debate. They own the Rams. They're on their ass. And Robbie Gold owns Jalen Ramsey. And man, I miss Robbie Gold, bro. Because he used to be the longtime kicker for the Bears. Robbie Gold was a great kicker, bro. Still is a great kicker to this day. And man, especially on that wild card game against the Eagles that I don't even want to be talking about. Back in the winter, you feel me, in January 2020 against the Eagles. Oh, excuse me, January 2019. My bad. I got the years mixed up. January 2019. The Bears were about to advance to the divisional round. Oh man. And then Cody Parkey proceeded to double doink his field goal. Proceeded to then doink. This wouldn't have happened if Robbie Gold was there, man. I miss him, bro. Jalen Ramsey, meanwhile, Jalen Ramsey is very talented. Well, of course, we know that. He is very, very talented. However, when you have a self-described reputation for talking smack, there's going to be a lot of players who, not even just take offense to it, but a lot of those same players will then want to see what you're really made of and will hold you to your word. And of course, doing bad against the 49ers certainly isn't going to help. you know? Like Jalen Ramsey, I think his next challenge is I need to beat these 49ers again, man. I got to beat them. Oh, Lord. Maybe it's that Super Bowl hangover. Who knows? Now, in the world of college football, on Saturday night, Michigan State versus Michigan. Michigan won their battle against Michigan State for the Paul Bunyan Trophy 28-7. And Michigan, they're doing pretty good. I ain't gonna hold you. They're doing very, very good. They're 8-0. Much respect to Michigan for being 8-0. Unfortunately, there was an ugly incident in the tunnel. And mind you, this is a rivalry game. Of course, there will be heated moments, animosity. It's bound to happen, Like it's a rivalry. But even in a rivalry, there is still some things that just cannot happen, bro. That shouldn't be happening. And a player just straight up getting jumped in the tunnel, that is like straight up horrible, bro. Straight up B-word activity right there, man. So anyway, here's how it happened based on watching like all the video, because of course the videos went viral. So anyway, in the tunnel, Jaden McBurrows of Michigan got jumped by at least 5 Michigan State players. And maybe it's 5, maybe 6, 7, 8, 10. It seemed like a whole bunch of them wanted to like kill him. They wanted to rip his head off and all that, and wanted to rip his heart out even. Another cough. Anyway, Jamon Green, also of Michigan, also got hurt in that brawl as he got jumped by I think 2 or 3 Michigan State players and also got whacked in the head with his helmet. Man, what kind of trend did Myles Garrett set, huh? But in all seriousness, though, this is a very ugly incident. and four Michigan State players were suspended: linebacker Tank Brown, safety Angelo Rose, defensive end Zion Young, and cornerback Kari Crump. They all got suspended, and I mean they were caught on tape jumping the dude. What else you? What else was supposed to happen? I mean, were they supposed to maybe get tryouts under with Dana White or what have you? Like, no, this is football. You know, it's a rough sport, but you shouldn't be jumping people in the tunnel. That is just some bad behavior, bro. It's something that people should be taught. Don't ever, ever be sore losers, right? There is a way to accept defeat. And obviously, of course, if you lose, of course you're gonna feel mad, right? I mean, that's just how it is. People don't like losing, but at the same time, must still conduct yourself with dignity. You just can't be a straight up wreck and start jumping people. That is just because jumping people is not cool, bro. It ain't cool, man. Unbelievable, bro. Those four players are idiots, bro. I ain't gonna lie. They probably just threw their football career down the drain right there. Maybe they didn't. Who knows? You know, Michigan State not even doing well. They're like 3-5 or something. Like, if only they had that amount of fight on the football field, like actually playing football, their situation would be way better. Now, Liga MX, Pachuca versus Toluca, en la vuelta de la Apertura 2022. Pachuca ganaba la ida 5-1. Toluca marcó el primer gol, pero Toluca cometió un mano clarísimo en la área, pero los árbitros duraron muchísimo tiempo. Duraron casi como 5 o 6 minutos. Ser no sé qué, yo creo, hablando de su, favorito, de su platillo favorito, hablando, hey, güey, todavía sabes si quieres ir a la taquería antes del juego, o qué quiere, güey, no, 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 yo quiero carnitas, compa, no, no, yo quiero chorizo, un taco de chorizo con salsa y cilantro y toda esa madre, compa. Güey, todavía tenemos una penal, bro, estamos en la final, güey. Ah, sí. Y pues, ante 5 minutos, marcaron penal. Un penal clarísimo. Pero el portero, Thiago Volpi, o brasileiro, paró la penal. Pero luego Pachuca marcó su sexto gol en la serie para ganar 6-2 en la global. Luego Pachuca marcó dos más goles en el segundo tiempo para ganar en global 8-2 y va a ser campeones de la Apertura 2022 de la Liga Mexicana. Now back to English in this B, you feel me? Just an absolute tragedy that I just found out about is, of course, the death of Takeoff. And Takeoff passed away at 28 years old in Houston, Texas, after being shot and killed outside a bowling alley at 2:30 in the morning after a dice game. And, a lot of questions obviously will be asked. I ain't going to ask these questions right now because, admittedly, I don't know too much about the case. And, of course, the police are still investigating. So I'm going to just let the police do what they got to do. You feel me? Feel me? I ain't the police. I ain't a detective. So I got not much to say. Only thing I could say here is it is a unbelievable tragedy because Takeoff was part of a very popular group of Bigos. And this, man, that kind of hurts, I ain't gonna lie, because I grew up listening to Migos and I like Takeoff's verse, you feel me? Especially from Handsome and Wealthy. The Handsome and Wealthy, because I'm handsome and wealthy, that song. I love that song, bro. I first listened to it in 2014, in my freshman year of high school, man. I loved it, bro. It was dope. But man, RIP Takeoff, bro, for real. Condolences to his family, loved ones, everybody, man. This is just tragic. So We gonna end this episode right here, man. Always be careful outside, bro, in this crazy, crazy world. Much love, bro. Peace.